Hi guys, welcome to Snakes and Adders. Today we're doing our introducing series on corn snakes. Corn snakes are a fantastic species of colubrid from North America. They're incredibly tame, probably the single most popular snake kept in captivity. They're more reliable feeders than royals. They're easier to keep than royals. So, corn snakes probably do top the bill as the premier snake species. They get a bit of heat because they're so popular, but in truth, I've sat thinking about it today, and realistically there's a reason why we recommend them as the perfect beginner species, because they are. I'll try and take you through the basics. We don't want to do a trite normal, oh it's so cute video on YouTube. Try and give you a bit more of the science and background behind them, and then the basic care tips as well. They were first described by Linnaeus in 1766 as Colubrid guttatus, and then they moved into Pantherophis guttatus. Eventually they ended up in Pantherophis guttatus and they stayed there for a long time. Eventually Utiger did some research on them, realised actually they're quite distantly related to the old world rat snakes, and they're closer related to the king snakes of North America, so they designated them into a group called Pantherophis. So it's Pantherophis guttatus, that is a corn snake. And their cousins, Pantherophis obsoletus, are the American rat snakes, such as the black rats, Everglades, Texans, greys, and other such snakes. There was 3 subspecies previously listed. There was Pantherophis guttatus imori, which was the Great Plains rat snake, Pantherophis guttatus slowinski, which is Slowinski's rat snake, and Pantherophis guttatus rosacea, which was the Florida Keys rat snake or rosy rat snake. The rosacea form has since been dropped. The imori and Slowinski form have been elevated to full species status. Pantherophis imori was named after Brigadier General W.H. Imori, who worked on the national surveys, handed in specimens of the snake to the Smithsonian Museum. And then Slowinski's snake was named after Joseph B. Slowinski, who was a famous American herpetologist, famous for his work with elapids. Elapids are a group of snakes which are venomous with the fixed front teeth, and that would be cobras, kraits and mambas. So that was in honour of him. Like I was saying, through molecular study they realised actually that the old school rat snakes that we knew, like the old world rat snakes, such as Japanese rat snakes, the European four-lined rat snakes, the king rat snakes, are far more distantly related than the North American kings. I found that incredibly interesting. I didn't know that, and it's been good whilst doing this research just to get those little tips and bits and bobs of information that I didn't know otherwise. Corn snakes' natural range, they occur from New Jersey south down the coast to the Florida Keys, and then west to Utah. So the cooler parts of the range, they'll have to hibernate or brumate as appropriate to make sure that they stay alive. They mustn't obviously catch a frost. In warmer parts of the range, they'll just hide away during the cooler parts of the weather and come out and catch the sun as and when it's there. Because we're so many generations deep into captive breeding, many people argue that we don't actually need to brumate them anymore. Others still stick to the old doctrine of brumating them, which is to offer them a far cooler winter period. This encourages sperm production and egg production in the males and females, and encourages the willingness to breed, the virility. So generally we'll have between 12 and 30 eggs laid. They will be incubated at 28 degrees. They hatch after 55 to 65 days. Corn snake babies don't pose any major issues getting going, although it is important if you're buying one as a beginner that you find out the last time it was fed, and preferably whether you could get a feeding record with your snake as well. This is so that we can keep accurate records, make sure that we're monitoring their growth and their development as accurately as possible. The first question a shop or a vet will ask is, when did it last feed, when did it last shed? That way we can keep track of how they're developing and how they're doing. We shouldn't cohabit them, so don't buy 2 to go into the same vivarium. Even though these snakes aren't really known for being cannibalistic, they will eat one another if they can smell prey on another snake that's within the tank, so be very careful there. We don't handle them for 2 days after they've been fed. It can make their stomach quite sensitive, and they can regurgitate their food if they're handled too soon after feeding, which is obviously problematic. As they grow, we can pair them for breeding, and like I say, there's no real complications from that. What that led to, though, with the amount of people that were keeping and breeding them, is a genetics explosion. As you can see, no two of these snakes are the same in colour, and there's a variety of different colour types available, including you've got locality forms, which would be Carolina, Miami or Okiti, and then you've got colour morphs. So amelanistic, that means that there's no black pigment; anatheristic, which means there's no red pigment; hypomelanistic, which means that there's reduced black; blood red or diffused; lavender; charcoal, which is another form of anatheristic, sometimes called Anery B; and then caramel. And then there's pattern morphs, so there's motleys, stripes and Aztecs. You can combo each of those up, or the existing combos which are most commonly available would be snows, where that's amelanistic and anatheristic together; blizzard, which is amelanistic and charcoal together; ghost, which is hypomelanistic and anatheristic together; phantom, which is charcoal and anatheristic; pewter, which is charcoal and diffused; butter, which is amel and caramel; and amber, which is hypo and caramel; and opal, which is amel and lavender. You see, the list goes on. This gives reason to why they're so popular, because so many different colour forms can be made. The issue that we've got, though, is they're so ready to breed that we can also create hybrids, which is something nowadays is incredibly frowned upon. But in the mid-90s and early 90s, it was all the rage, and they just wanted to see what they could cross with what. The problem is, though, from an ethical standpoint, is if we're going to do hybrids, what are they once we produce them? They are mutts, they are hybrids, they're nothing. And the babies that we produce from them are the same. So it's very frowned upon. Far better to keep them as pure corns, or pure whatever the other snake was that you were hybridizing. But proven hybrids exist in the form of jungle corns, which are Cali kings, cross corn snakes, tricolour corns, which are corn snakes, cross Querétaro kings, turbo corns, which is any form of Pantherophis snake. And then one of our customers in Leeds produced Japanese rat snakes cross corns. So they will hybridize readily with other snakes. It is not recommended. Please do not do it. The only one that was around and was a bit more accepted was the root beers, which was a hybrid of the Great Plains rat snake and corn snake, and the albino variant of that, which was called a creamsicle corn. So when we couple in the variance in colour, the absolutely outstanding temperament that makes them tame, easy to work with, there is no territoriality within the vivarium, no aggression and no standoffishness when first entering the tank. They're hardy to the point where actually you can abuse them and they still keep ticking. Obviously we don't recommend that you do that, but my point is that they are so forgiving that even with erroneous care, they're still okay. We will always encourage people to research their snakes properly, make sure that your temperatures are correct and that your tank is controlled by a reliable thermostat to make sure that the temperatures are okay. We would want the tank to be around 3 feet long for an adult corn snake, and we want the basking temperature to be between 28 and 30 degrees Celsius. A heat pad could be provided which covers between a third and a half of the bottom of the vivarium, which is controlled with a thermostat, or alternatively you could use coloured spotlights or ceramic bulbs, but they would need to be on dimming or pulse proportional thermostats, which can be more expensive to rig and set up initially, although they are more accurate and it would be more naturalistic to heat from above and heat the air. To argue that the heat pads aren't sufficient, well, 40 years of snake breeding and keeping by people who have been working with corns would argue with that. Yes, there are better ways, but if you're a beginner and you're doing it on a budget, the heat pad way will work. Just make sure that you have the control to make sure that the temperatures are correct. So you're going to feed them an appropriate size prey item. We're going to wait 48 hours after they've eaten, and then we can hold them. We hold them 5-10 minutes at a time. They are just superb. Make sure you do your research. It's all too easy because of how available they are to take this lightly, not research them properly, and not look out into the animals in the way that they should be kept properly. The corn snake may be a beginner snake, but it is still worthy of your research and your time to make sure you're doing it correctly. We will keep the videos coming. Please keep watching. Visit the website, which is www.snakesnadders.co.uk for more details. Cheers.